just
Yeah.
from like a just a standpoint, this is kind of how my brain works. So technically, again, nobody ever does this, but if person A wanted to if that's their goal, they technically have a cheaper loan in that 5.5 or 5.2 is cheaper than 6, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then but I understand that. Now let's talk about this person wants to now deploy capital. They want to deploy capital. Now person A has got a mortgage payment with principal, and we won't assume that they have a second lien. That would be something that they could whatever. We'll say they don't. So they have that principal, whereas person B has technically interest only. The interest is a little bit higher, but their payment would be smaller than person A. Are we tracking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Potentially.
And then person A, if they want to deploy capital, would be taking money out of their savings account. If it's 3, 2, 4, doesn't say it's 3. So they're losing 3. It's costing them 3% of lost opportunity cost because they would have earned 3% minus taxes. So the net liquidity is actually less than that to then deploy. Versus person B, if they use that money, it's whatever the cost of control is, whatever that HELOC is. Whether it's a promo rate, it's going to be 2%. If it's higher, so far tracking.
Yes.
Talk to me about why person B, if they're not necessarily motivated by debt, is in a better situation if the interest rate is higher in that scenario. And because I know that this is actually what you practice, and there's a lot of people that are building wealth using the flexibility of a first lien. And I think that is the last thing that we really need to talk about. And then we can land the plane by saying nobody's actually going to do the person A, person B. But I think I'm trying my best to like hear the sides, and then also say, guys, nobody does this behavioral. Like there's other things that we need to acknowledge.
Yeah. I love all the commentary of, well, I could just put all the extra income into the mortgage, but they don't because it's a closed-end product, and then they've locked away their capital. So we're talking hypotheticals that people don't do.
Can I say one other thing? That hypothetical is neither one are motivated by paying off debt. Like they've gone to neither the 30-year mortgage. If I was motivated by paying off debt, I would not have the product I have. Neither is that person B that's using first lien. They're motivated on building assets. So you're totally right. But they're now motivated to building assets, and so one is doing the first lien.
Out there, we'll just work with the ones that you did, right?
Okay.
I need to ask a clarifying question. Does the person that is person A with a mortgage, do they have a checking and savings account? You said they had a high yield savings account, but they also have an operating account too, right? Like a checking account?
Yes, they have a checking account.
All right. So we also have to factor in that. That's a negative 1,841%. So any dollars that hit that is a negative 1,841%. So that's got to go into the math too. Now, am I a super genius that could do that off the top of my head? Absolutely not. But I do know that that's got to account for something as well. Because one of the biggest things that we're doing is not actually just getting rid of the mortgage, it's getting rid of dead money that goes into a checking and savings account.
That's fair. Yeah.
Now, the high yield savings account is not dead money in my opinion, but the average savings account, the average checking account, that is dead money. That is, it's a lot of people call it sleeping money. No, it's dead money because it's going backwards because of what inflation has always done. Historical inflation is 3.3%. So really when it comes down to that, that's another variable that is there in reality that we're not talking about because we're only talking about hypothetical, but let's just leave that alone. I now need to understand what is the background of this individual. Like if they were me and going through 2008, I went through bankruptcy, foreclosure, cars repossessed. Now, thank goodness I didn't have kids. So, because I always get this question of, hey, I've got 4 properties. Should I get a HELOC on all of them? Maybe. I don't know. What are your goals? So let's just say they did, right? Now they got rental properties that have a HELOC and they've got a primary residence that has a HELOC. And they're asking me, what's the best one to pay off? And I'll answer it this way. Me, there's an emotional decision and there's a mathematical decision. The one that makes the most sense to pay off, assuming that's what they want to do, and again, I know I'm kind of going ADHD on you, is the one with the highest cost of funds, the one with the highest rate. That's the one that mathematically makes the most sense to pay off. But as a father of 5 and a wife, I am emotionally invested in my homestead, my primary residence. So it doesn't make mathematical sense whatsoever. This is what I want to do. But again, going back to this equation is you've got this person, they both want to invest. It's not about paying it off. Well, we still have to have a place to park our money. And that needs to be talked about too, where over here we're parking our money in a checking account and some of it in a high yield savings account. Now, if we operate in a high yield savings account, we're not getting 3%. We're not getting 4%. It's like what's going in is coming out. If we're operating out of it, we got to have this slush fund of 3 to 5% high yield savings account for it to even do anything for us. We can't operate out of it.